Hi guys, I hope all of you are doing great. Today in this video, I'll cover basic debugging techniques. We will be covering a step into, step over and step out. I'll show you a couple of code examples which will cover loops as well. We will cover a breakpoint, how we can edit breakpoints and add a condition to them. We will be covering the case of multiple breakpoints and much more. In this video, I'll be using Visual Studio Code. At the end of the video, I will also show you how you can do the debugging in Databricks and what additional features Databricks offers. Let's get started with the debugging. We have basic functions here. We have two functions, greet and add. Here we have a main function where we are calling both of these functions. So let's get started with the basic debugging techniques, which include step over, step into and step out. So the first thing that you will have to do is you will have to click on run if you are using a Visual Studio Code and click on start debugging. Since we don't have any breakpoints here, the execution was not stopped and the entire program completed and generated the output. In this case, which is we got hello Alice, and there is this line 1 and line 2, and at the last we got this total which is calculated in this function. Let me put a breakpoint here. What is a breakpoint? Wherever you put a breakpoint, you see this red dot, the execution of the program would be stopped. So if I put a breakpoint, let's say here, what will happen is when we run this program, so the execution starts from the main function. Since if you see, we are calling main function here. So you have a left menu where you have variables. Here, whatever variables have been assigned a particular value, they will be displayed here. So if you see in the main function, only name equal to Alice has been done, and even if you hover over this, we will see the values Alice. This is helpful in case of numbers. Here it's straightforward, but it is helpful. I'll come to this in a while. So it stopped at the greet function. Now if you see this menu, we have a couple of things here. So this, let's talk about this. What is this? This is a step over function. What step over will do is when we use a step over function, so we have a breakpoint here at the greet. So at this greet function, it will move to the next line without going into the function. That is why it is called as step over. So had it been here, there is a function call anyway, so it will move to the next line. So even if there is a call, as in line number 11, but the next line, because we are using step over, so if I do step over, it will move to the next line. So same way here also there is a function call, it just moves to the next line. Okay, so this is about step over. Now let me restart. Now let's see what happens in case of a step into. So when you use step into, if there is a function call in that line where your debugger is, where your breakpoint is, the execution, the control will move into the. So if I click on step into, simply it went inside the greet function. The execution, whether I use step over or whether I use into here, it won't make a difference. The reason being there is no this line. So if I use this one or this one, both will move the control to the next line. Let me use step into. Okay, it will move to the next line. Again the same thing. So it will the next line. Now if I click on either of them, the control would be returned. So let me show you how we can use a step out here. Let's go for step into again. Now we are inside this one. Step out do. Step out steps out of the function, as the name suggests. So we are right now in this function and there are still two being executed. What we can do is we can directly click on, the control would be returned to the function called it. So if I click on step out, okay, I clicked on step in, sorry. So if I click on step out now, it directly went to the function, that made the call. So this is how it will work. If I click on this one, so I showed you, if I click on step over, it will move to the next line. But if I click on the step into, it will go inside the add function. Out. So without going here, it will directly, move back to the function. That means what it does is it skips this part and then goes here, that this has been executed. So if I, right now it won't show anything, but if I move to the next one, you will see a value. So this is again useful You just need to hover over variables and you will see what value they are carrying. That is one way of doing it. And have a look in this left menu where you have the value of variables. And in case there is something that is not coming up here, sometimes we have an expression, especially in loops, you can simply highlight that expression. Let's say you can simply highlight it and you can click on add to watch. Now what will happen is once the value is assigned to it, you will see the value of x plus y. So let me show you. So if you see, the function is right now here. So let me use another breakpoint. So the execution will directly stop here. I can click on this continue execution. So if I click on continue execution, the execution will continue unless until the next breakpoint is encountered. If it is not encountered, then the entire script will run. Okay, it directly moved here, so saving a lot of time. Now if you see here, x plus y is initialized. It is showing, you can see x is 5, y is 3, and x plus y is. So this is about having multiple breakpoints, and I think we covered step over. We covered these three. And this is, if I now click on continue, rest of the program would be executed since there are no more breakpoints. Let's see one more example on debugging. So this is string comprehension problem. The problem is basically you are given a string like this, and you have to compress it in the form. You have to return a compressed string, which is, if you have we have 3 A's, 3 B's and 3 C's. So this is how we are compressing it, and this is the code. While writing this code, we are using a for loop, and often when we use a for loop, there are sometimes we mess up with string indexes out of range. I think when you are a beginner, you often face that error, and it becomes so difficult to see where exactly you are, where exactly it is happening and in which iteration it. So for that, what you can do is let me remove this for now. You can you can use breakpoints, and you even add a condition in the breakpoint. So if I click edit breakpoint, I can add a condition. If I let's say if I want to start checking from I is equal to, let's say 4, I have to give an expression here, and let's click enter. Let's run the program. You can see how it becomes. We have a result here, and we already see some elements. We have a count, and see the execution stopped and I is equal to, and you can continue debugging from here. Now you can, since there is no function call, both of them will move the execute control to the next line. So you can we are using step over here. Okay, so this is what I wanted to show you, a breakpoint with a condition. So you can see if I hover to S, it is directly showing what S, or I can just check from this menu. And I can even add expressions. Let me to watch, so I can check this one. So okay, and I move to the next one. Okay, it is showing syntax error. So if I add this expression, you can see this is true. So you can directly see if the condition was true or the false, or in case you want to see individual values. Let's say you want to see what was S of I and what S of I minus 1. Just add them separately. So you have them together as well, you have them separately. So let's restart it. So you see the values in the 4th iteration, and then it is going inside the loop. And similarly, click on the result, you see here 0, 8, 1, 3. So and you see you can see the value of the list, what elements it is containing. And finally, okay, so just I can directly use this break. I can click on step out, or more appropriate would be, since like step out, I'm coming out of the loop. That is one way of looking at it. Or I could have directly used continue execution. So let me restart and show. So if I click on continue execution, the program will continue to execute until breakpoint is encountered, which is here. So yeah. Now let me this one and return, and finally we are returning this. You can see the result if you click on this. So that is about step over, step into, and hope this makes it clear. Right now we are in the Databricks workspace, and we have the same kind of functions that we saw earlier. We have the main function where we are calling two functions, greet and add, and this is the definition of greet function and add function. The first thing that we will do here is we will run all the functions above. Okay, and now we will run this cell. Okay, so we have an output here. Now if I want to use the debugging, all we have to do is, if you see, when I keep my cursor here, I see these breakpoints. I can put a breakpoint, let's say here, and the next one, let it be here. So let's try to debug. Okay, so if I click on go to the next line, step in and step out, here it is showing go to the next line, which is our step over. If I want to move inside the greet function, I'll click on this one and it will directly go there. So same way, if I click on step out, it will move back to the function definition. So same way you can do. And let's say there are variables that you want to check quickly, you want to check values. All you need to do is just paste them here and press enter, and you will get to see their value. Put a breakpoint here and continue execution. Okay, we are here, total. If I want to check the value of total, this is 8. I hope it is clear. Same kind of functionality is there in Databricks. Only thing is you get an additional debug console, which is very helpful when you have so many cells and you want to quickly check out the values. Even in case of data frame, you can use .show command to check the rows of the data frame. So that is really helpful. So this is something that you can use if you're working. If your project is using Databricks, then debugging would definitely be very helpful. So that's it. Thank you.